12 minutes after the hour now, a judge has ruled that in just 2 days, a 13-year-old girl who was declared brain dead can be removed from her ventilator. Jahi McMath has been in this state since December 9th, since she suffered complications from surgery to remove her tonsils at Children's Hospital of Oakland, California.
Now the family is in a vicious legal battle against the hospital, which wants to remove her from the ventilator. So the family wants to move Jahi to another facility to care for her. And on Friday, the hospital agreed to a protocol to do that. The hospital had refused to help since it considers her to be dead. But the family insists their daughter is very much alive and argues it's against their Christian beliefs to let her heart stop beating.
How can she be dead and her heart beats? She has blood flowing through her system and she responds to my touch and my voice. How can a dead person do that?
Well, joining us to talk about it, criminal defense attorney and constitutional attorney Page Pate. Page, good to have you.
Good morning.
So many legal issues to talk about, but after the announcement that the hospital in California is going to cooperate to allow Jahi to be moved to another facility, likely out of California,
right,
the first question that pops up in my mind, is there or are there any legal concerns when transporting a legally deceased person from one state to another with no intentions of burial or cremation?
Well, that can happen. Most states have laws and regulations governing the movement of dead bodies. But in this case, remember, everything's being done pursuant to court order. So as long as there's a court order in place, I think both here from the Superior Court in California as well as from the federal judge, I think they should be fine.
Okay.
What's the conflict of interest here for the hospital? Is there anything to gain by taking her off the ventilator?
Well, that's what's interesting to me. In this case, I think it's clear that there's a question as to why she died. And so if there's an eventual medical malpractice suit against the hospital, it's in their best interest to go ahead, declare her dead, limit any potential damages, and also potentially prevent someone from finding out what really happened.
We've got a statement from the family. I'm going to read it here. It's fairly long. We have our strong religious convictions and set of beliefs. We believe in this country a parent has the right to make decisions concerning the existence of their child, not a doctor who looks only at lines on a paper or reads the cold black and white words on law that says brain dead, and definitely not a doctor who runs the facility that caused the brain death in the first place. How does religious belief, moral belief, play into this?
Unfortunately, not at all under the law. California is like many states, and since 1980, everyone has basically said that uniformly we can determine death if there's irreversible cessation of all brain activity, and that determination is left up to doctors, to science. There is nothing in the law that allows for any sort of variation depending upon religion.
But what happens after that, I'd imagine, is where the religious and moral beliefs come in, not in the declaration of death.
Well, I think there's still an issue there. Apparently, the family has talked to another physician who doesn't disagree with brain dead, but disagrees that brain dead means true death. And that's always been a debate around this country, but once everyone adopted this uniform act, we've kind of moved towards science and away from religion.
What about cost for her medical treatment to just continue? I mean,
Right.
for how long?
And that's the interest of the state, and that's why we have these laws, to put some finality to it. Otherwise, if we can never say, if someone's always going to disagree with when the child is dead, I mean, that could cost a lot of money. And it wouldn't just happen in this case. It obviously happens in other cases as well.
And if Jahi were being moved to, we've heard, this facility in New York,
right,
are there any requirements legally for them to continue the intubation, the feeding tube, the ventilation for a minimum of time, or how long could this go?
Well, most states, again, adopted the uniform law, and I think New York is one of them as well. So they would make the same determination, their physicians could, that she's brain dead, and they should not have any more medical treatment of a person who is legally deceased. But if they agree to it, and the family wants to do it, and everyone's willing to participate, then I suppose they can do it, but they would not be required to do it.
As long as somebody's paying for it.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Page Pate, thanks for helping us unpack all this. A lot in this story.